So now we're up to where we up to Beis Dalet. So he was Yofei Shah, but Shuva Maisim Tovim, Mikol Chayo Ilam Haba. So the diak is Chayo Ilam Haba, and Chayo Ilam Haba is the Pnimius of Ilam Haba. That's the Gan Eden within Ilam Haba, where the Gan Eden Elyon Ilam Habri, which is what he's talking about, because that's where Ma'ayin Basa, the neshama comes from Gan Eden of Ilam Habriya. Allah Hatahilach, the whole Yedidus, Lamata, Gan Eden, Ilam HaYitzira, and so on. But the point is that it's the Pnimius and the difference between Gan Eden and Ilam Haba Stam. What the Olam is Helam V'Hester. In the Olam is the ideas of the Metzias of Alikus. They know of God's existence with absolute certainty, but they don't experience it. Mashenkein, Gan Eden is the Re'iyah, is the Ziv HaShechina, is the Giloi and the experience, and Macht Lichtig. It illuminates, Hashem's presence illuminates their Metzias. Who's the they? The Neshamas. In Gan Eden, of Elam Habriya, which is where they start, they're illuminated with the Likus. In contrast to Elam Habriya itself, as we explained yesterday, because the Neshamas is what the Eibishter desires. That's where the Gan Eden is Eden, Tainuk. Notwithstanding that, Yofei Shah Achas, Dafke, Shuva Maisim Tovim, Nilam Hazeh. So this he goes on to explain. This is how even then, Chaya Ilam Haba, not just Ilam Haba. So up to his Dalit. Yeah? Hine Mehidois Razal B'Mamorim Zeh, the announcement, as it were, the notification of Chazal in this statement of Yofei Shachas Gufa Muven. As we look at this statement itself, it's understood. Sheikar Hadiyuku, the main diuk is Ala Tshuva Maisim Tovim B'Elam Hazeh Dafke. The diuk is that the Avodah is Dafke Nelam Hazeh. V'hainu she'inyan the Yofei Nifa Likal Kachem Tzad Etzim Yinak Tshuva Maisim Tovim. The inyan of greater is Tshuva Maisim Tovim is not so much the Tshuva Maisim Tovim themselves, because sheyochel liyas l'chayra gam b'elam Yisrael yonim. They can be l'chayra Tshuva and Maisim Tovim on a ruchnistic level in the higher worlds. Lav dafke b'elam hazeh, not only in this world. The Malachim said, Eibishter, why are you giving a Torah to man? Give it to us, which means there can be Torah and mitzvahs, and even Shuva, he says, because Shuva is thinking of Baruch Tosh V'Elikim Hashem Asana, to go higher, to return. So Baruch Nisayin Yanim, there can be Shuva. For that matter, the Maila is also the thinking of transgression. Matat is the Sar HaMalachim. The prince of all the Malachim was thrown out of Gan Eden for his relative insolence, as we learned. Not insolence, but relatively speaking. So there is the inyan of tshuva and maisim tovim beruchnius lamayla. So that's not so much the chidush. Ella shemitzad zeh shatshuva maisim tovim kifi shenit be'elam hazeh dafke. The diuk is the mile of dafke this world. This explains why we have to come down. Because dafke in this physical world, here the avodah is dafke the way it is in Elam Hazeh. It's dafke here that we can come to Yofeh. Then higher than Chayelam Haba, which is what? B'chinas ma'ayin bos, the level of ayin. So what happens through the Avodah Dafke Nelam Hazeh? Shonyin haliyas on the Shama l'maylim mishar shemakar, going even higher than the Sheder Shemakar, which is ayin, which is Chayelam Haba, and which is both there that l'yiran the Adam v'choy Dafke b'misosam, Dafke b'chayeyim, but b'misosam yiran the Adam v'choy. That's the neshama l'mayla, and yet through the Avodah Elam Hazeh Dafke, one connects even deeper. To explain this further, we have to understand why this is so.
Is he diminishing the focus on the work and saying that the place of work is more important for the aliyah than the work itself?
No, it's more the work dafke here, not that work up there. You do it here, that's where it counts. So it is the avodah, but the avodah it's mailis dafke when it's an Elam Hazeh. So just to be the Elam Hazeh and doing nothing, not accomplished a lot. On the contrary, we just meisiv chayis and klipa, and set the clock back, God forbid, or at least whatever it is. So it's dafke the avodah. So we have to understand why. Why do you have to do this avodah, as it were, in the limitations and agbolas, the Elam Hazeh tachten? Why is that? It's known, explained, like it says in Posuk, min ha-meitzar karosika, from the constraints I call out to Hashem, and dafke then, anoni b'merchavka. He answers me with the expansiveness of the divine. In order to reach the true expansiveness, which is higher than the ziv hashchina, but the merchav ha'atzmi, it's only from the constraints. Like we see in Aveda, it's only the Zohar says to the Aveda about Tshuva, that this is with greater strength. The greatest strength is Dafke in the Aveda of the Baal Tshuva. More than the tzaddik, high even than complete perfect tzaddikim, they cannot stand there where Baal Tshuva stands, reaches. Why can't he get there? Because he doesn't know of Meitzar. Finally, he doesn't have the need of Meitzar. There is a Meitzar, he's in a goof. There's plenty of Meitzar. He doesn't know the anguish of the Baal Tshuva. And another illustration. For dafke min ha-meitzar, gam b'negei lebirur hara, in the refinement of the ra, tihin b'negei l'ra hagoloi. So when we're dealing with open and obvious ra, evil, avoid the hilaf yarach b'neikol, the avoid is relatively simple, easy, light. But when we're dealing with the subtle, hidden evil, this requires a lot of effort and toil until we can overcome the subtle, hidden ra. And in general, this will lead to the maila of the Baal Tshuva. That Yaakov said that he conquered the Shechem with my sword and with my bow. That goes in Avedis HaTfilah. Targum says, with my prayers and with my requests. But what are the two inyanim? Sword is for an enemy that's near, close up. He sees it, it's close to him. And he sees with his intellectual eye that this is wrong. Or with his physical eye. That this is his enemy and has to be conquered. And for an enemy that's obvious, a ra that's obvious, must be it's enough, the avodah of the sword. Because it reaches that which is near to him and obvious. Then I'd say to defeat the enemy that's within his close proximity. But when they were talking about the evil that's distant, in other words, things look fine on the surface, but inside it's rotten. but it's not obvious. It's hard, in Yiddish, it's hard to literally that means to take it apart. It's hard to assess, it's hard to penetrate, to perceive what exactly the problem here is, what is the mahus that can be dealt with. There's a sense that there's something missing here, that's for sure. But what exactly it is, and it's so difficult to ascertain this enemy that it could even be is he in Bachlal an enemy? Is this a problem? Or maybe it's not a problem. It's fine. It's okay. I'm all right. The evil is not obvious. It's very subtle. So the sword's not going to help.
That's why in a bow, that's why in a close battle, you see the enemy right in front of you. And that's why you need a bow, because it's not so obvious, it's far away, perhaps.
No, that's what he's saying. That's exactly what he's saying. That's why you need a bow, that the arrow can go distant. Right? Exactly what he's saying. The dik is going to be the way it goes. How does it go distant? What does it mean that the arrow it goes to the distance? It means he obviously is not seeing this. So it's got to penetrate far deeper than his own seichel. That's what it means, the distance. It's distance from him, so his understanding, he is not even sure if this is a problem, and if it is, and if he doesn't understand it's a problem, it's not easy to get to it and to uproot it at its source. So how does the arrow help? An arrow can get to a distant enemy. How does it work? How does the arrow project from the bow? It's in such a way, the more you pull the bow. Yeah. The more you pull it lower, you have to pull it lower, like this, right? This is going to make the arrow greater. Its flight will be greater and further and faster and deeper. It can reach a very far enemy. And in Begashmis also, some of these arrows, bows and arrows are massive, and they can reach an enemy you don't even see with your eye. He's there, but you can't identify. So they just fire away. And so what's in Avodah? The Avodah is the Meitzah. But the Gemara about Avodah Haruchni is Shekachol Shegadol Etzle Inyan HaMeitzah, pulling back the tension. He pulls back the bow, the arrow, pulling back the bow of the, what are the two components of the bow? No. The drawstring, yeah. The drawstring that is actual. So as he pulls it back further, this is the Meitzah. He is fakvejt. What is fakvejt? It bothers him. It bothers him. He's come to recognize that there is, this reminds me of a story. It was just actually sent yesterday. You all heard the story. A story with Rabbi Tzeitlin and Lezer Olav Shalom, Aleim Shalom, told that on several occasions, Simchas Torah by day by the Rebbe was already after Kofis. The Peshel had made Kiddush like a Jew does on Simchas Torah. The Rebbe went upstairs, and the Peshel takes Lezer by the hand, or maybe Lezer was just holding him because he didn't want to get lost in the crowd. And the Heschel follows the Rebbe up to his room, and literally follows the Rebbe into his room. The Rebbe turns around with a smile, like, what is the matter? Or what is it you want? And he was crying, and he said, Rebbe, ihr soll halten bei Stickel Emes. should hold by a little bit of truth.
Ahorele.
Huh?
Ahorele.
Okay, whatever. Ahorele. And to which they responded, what a little bit. Asachem is a lot of truth. So this is the Nakuda. This is the Oimikara. It's not a particular obvious failing. It's the failure of sincerity, of emes, of pnimius. And the only way to deal with that is, only the way to reach that is, if it really bothers you, it's got to hurt. And the deeper it hurts, the more, this is the arrow that he fires that can deal with this enemy. Similar to the story we told the other day, the Kalina, that the Chassid came and said, the Rebbe opened my heart. It's blocked. It's also, he's doing everything right, but his heart is blocked. So the Kalina said to him, what can I do? I don't have the key to your heart. Can't find the key to your heart. So he cried in his anguish. The Rebbe says, the key, break it with an axe, Rebbe. Oh. So that was the Min HaMeitzah. He says, you opened. You just opened up. Okay, so that's, let's go further. I know, Shekachol Shiyitoyse Binyan HaMeitzah, just watching last night, it's a little bit sad, but some clips of Rabbi Shemen Lagarelek, who just passed away. Everybody knows how amazing this is, that the Gem video chose to tell his story, and the whole world is watching it, and he passes away on the Chodesh Adar while it's being shown. Everybody in the world is watching the story of his shlichus in 1958 to Milan, and he passes away this week. So there's unfortunately, he suffered from Alzheimer's towards the end of his life. It's a little bit sad, or a lot sad, maybe it's not sad. It is sad. Sure, it's sad. But the thing was that he would still, people would still want to, it's sad to watch because his mind's not there. And in a way, that's why they wanted to hear him. They always wanted to hear him. Because now it's coming mamish from a place that's not filtered, and it's not just filtered, it's blocked. I mean, all the time it's blocked. It's more than just, okay, the whole thing is, I don't think we even understand what's going on. But anyway, so he's saying l'chaim. So what comes out is, I'm just listening to one little clip here. Obviously, one thing is he's Rebbe, and he just cries, he says the Rebbe's name, and then himself, behemoth. He says, you're looking at a behemoth. You want to see a behemoth? He grabs his beard, the white beard, behemoth. This is Min HaMeitzah. This doesn't come from, because his whole life, there's an avodah of Min HaMeitzah. Challenging himself to his depth, being very honest. At any rate, let's conclude. I know did I say this? No. Go back. Shikol godly in Ametza, the greater, the Gmosa, go back again to the period. The Gmosa, the Haruchnius, so in the Ruchnius, Shikol she godly, that's in Ametza. The greater, the more intense is the Meitzar, is the constrained. How does this happen? He thinks deeply, and he comes to a bitterness, not sadness, not depression, which doesn't motivate, which leads to despair. We're talking about bitterness, which is deeply motivating. Can't remain this way. So this meridos, this bitterness, this meitzar, this reaches the depth. And it cleanses him even on a level of subtle ra. It's a deep cleansing. The greater, the deeper the meitzah, he reaches a deeper tshuva, deeper cleansing, deeper return, a deeper connection, to the highest levels of tshuva. So and this is the Avodah of the Adam, shedavke min ha-meitza beim lemerchav amiti. So it's davke min ha-meitza that the person comes to the true expansiveness. But the merchav atzmi, the atzmidik expansive atzmos mohus, the true blikvul. So he's answering why that's why you have to come down to Ilam Hazeh. Because in all the madreges l'mayla, that there could be the Avodah beruchnius of tshuva ma'asim tovim, they don't have min ha-meitza. It's not terrible where they are. Okay, it's going higher and higher, which is very nice. But Meitzah, they don't know of Meitzah. Meitzah is Dafka in this world. Dafka in our goof, and Dafka with our failures, etc. And he says it's true that Tzaddik as well, but the true Min HaMeitzah is by the Baal Tshuva, because so this is why this is the Yetzias Mitzrayim. That's to start the whole process. Yetzias Mitzrayim then leads to going to Eretz Yisrael, and then starts the three mitzvahs of Minui Melech and Mechias HaMolek and Binyan Beis HaBchira. Beru begins with Yetzias Mitzrayim, and Mitzrayim starts. Is Dafka here. Because if there's not going to be the Min HaMeitzah, it's quite interesting. L'choire, this whole Min HaMeitzah, it's very nice, but it's not critical. He's going to be a fine Jew and do Torah mitzvahs, never be concerned with his subtlety and his emes and his panimius. He's fine. This is like that's the the cream on the cake. Here he says it's the whole. It'll start that way. Yeah, if the foundation is the Min HaMeitzah, the Yetzias Mitzrayim, it has to drive everything, the whole Avodah after that. That's what the Neshama came down. It's not a hisofa. Raha Goloi. That's what you got to deal with. Obvious Torah mitzvahs. Don't worry about the rest. If you do, fine, you're a big goyvet. They were saying here, that the Min HaMeitzah and Yetzias Mitzrayim is the foundation of the whole Avodah, which in simple language means there's no room for smugness, no room for having arrived, no room for being satisfied. So this is Yetzias Mitzrayim, that has to be daily. Vanish Mitzrayim, Mitzrayim is this world. Where do you got to do tshuva ma'asim tovim? It's dafke in Ilam Hazeh. And every day it's got to be going out of its boundaries. He's misburn and in his matziv aksa delay. Aksa means his anguish. And from this tafke he comes to the broadness. It leaves Mitzrayim, it's a daily thing. And he comes into the good and broad land, the rotzen, the desire. What is the Avodah in general is as follows. If the Avodah is only limited to his conscious faculties, there is, as implied by the very names, koiches pnimiyim means the oid is nislabish b'pnimis in the keli. Shemilavosh bekeli, they're contained by the keli. Hainu sheyesh b'medida v'agbola. His avoid is limited according to his nature. He's serving Hashem only in what makes sense to him, in a rational way that satisfies him. He didn't go out of Mitzrayim. He didn't go out of his own Meitzah. But only when the Avodah comes from, not from Seichel and Midas only, but the Ru'usa de Liba, the desire of the heart, the depth of the heart, the Pnimius Alev. This is not contained in Kelim. This is the Gewalt. So with this, he goes out of his limitations. His limitations would be serving Hashem rationally, only based on his seichel and chitzonius amidus. He enjoys this. He respects it. He loves it. He's in awe of it. We're talking of rusa deliba, pnimis alev. And here he reaches the true Aveda, the higher Aveda. Yad Aveda Hamitis, he calls it the true Aveda. This is the merchav, the expansiveness, that he goes beyond his limitations in his daily Aveda. And how is it possible that through this Aveda, he taka reaches the merchav, as he said before, the merchav Amiti, the merchav Atzmi. So how is this so? Because the Chayr is still a limited person, and the Vaharaya, the next day he's got to go even further. So what he does today is relative to tomorrow is going to be a limitation. So how does this reach the merchav, the true merchav? He explains, even though the Zohar says nothing can grasp him, from the Zohar, even the supernal machshava cannot grasp him, does not contain him. Says the Zohar, but he is grasped, he is connected in the pnimius of the heart, the desire of the heart. The Nukud is because it's true, it's going to manifest each day in a relative avoid of the day, but what's driving it is something that's boundless. Which is why the next day he continues. It's in the Kudus Halev, which is the Chelek Alika. I'm a Yid, and there's no cap on that. There's no limitation to that. The goes Inya Machshava. The Zohar just said that less Machshava Tvisa Bei. No Machshava can grasp him. What madreg is that? Inya Machshava Krebechlol. It's the highest madreg. Al Tzviris HaChachma. Machshava is called Chachma. Shenikras b'shem Machshava. Chachma is called Machshava. K'mayim, like it says in Zohar, Machshava v'yoivlo leis parshul almin. That Machshava, which goes on Chachma, and yoivlo goes on Bina, never separate. Yoivl goes on it means Yovel Pashat Yovel, the Jubilee year. But that's the Gilui of Chedos of Bina. It's connected to Bina. So Machshava and Yuvla or Yovla is Chachma and Bina. They never separate. They're always together. So all to say that Machshava goes on, so less Machshava Tvisabei means the highest levels of Chachma cannot grasp it. Dafkerusa de Lib, you follow that? But the Gmosiba, the Matachnan, and the parallel here is that his 10 faculties correspond to the 10 Sfiris Lamailo, Shina Machshava, Horeshis HaSeichel. You see also here that how does Seichel manifest? It's a Machshava. So it's a relative term. We use the word Machshava. Here we mean Chochma, the highest levels of Seichel. So this moving Shadayin Ein Zein Shel Yitziyim B'Kol HaMadidus V'Agbolis. If the whole Yiddishkeit is this rational appreciation and so on, he has not gone out of his limits. And furthermore, we'll just finish the next few lines. If when the Avodah is only mitzad seichel, so Chochmas Beriru, Chochma Taka can differentiate. Chochma can pale with Chochma. Is Beriru means to clarify,
refine,
means, to refine, to what? Refine.
Yeah, vernandernemen.
Yeah. So what kind of refinement? Only obvious Ra. The Chachma morality is able to differentiate between what's good and what's bad. The Deiches Ra and Chachma can reject the evil. Avladai and Nisha Mitzi Ra, but it cannot. It still remains. ורק דרכם עצמי just rejects it. ולכן אין זה עדיין תכלס עבודה. Can know it in theory and reject it, even reject it in Pil Mamish, but not transform it. כי כל זמן שיש לנו מציאות הרע, as long as evil exists, עדיין יש לאפשרות המציאות שתהיה אחיזה גם בו. As long as it's still there, it can still have a grasp in him. So therefore, there has to be a deeper Avodah kasher yeshna, but when it's not just based on machshava, on chachma, but the Avodah is, the foundation is that it's deeper than his seichel. And the foundation is the desire, the heart, higher than your heart and your soul, they correspond to the 10 keiches. So then he is, the Zohar says, he is grasped in the Reusa del Liba. Okay, we'll revisit this a little bit and continue, Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow.